You're listening to Character Crusade.
Finally toggled the right boxes and selected the right drop downs and what have you.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for your patience.
Yes. Now you have the distinct pleasure of watching two pissed off podcasters for the rest of the night who are just going to be like really pissy and cranky, right?
Well, it is Skyrim, so I bet we can we can probably turn our
Holy hell.
Turn that frown upside down,
yeah,
Mr. Man.
I think we can do it.
So again, thank you everyone.
Yeah. So thank you very much. This obviously is a work in progress. One of the things that we are trying to do is find a way to reliably test a stream before we actually invite people in the door. Haven't figured out how to do that yet. So it is definitely a work in progress. Okay, so I think what I want to do, let's start from the top because I think we've got Shirley connected now. And I think what I'd like to do is let's just take a few minutes. Let's run through our announcements, kind of get through that piece, all right? And then once we've successfully done that, we will take a short break, just long enough to make sure that we've got a good connection with Shirley, and then we'll jump into the interview, and then anything else that we want to mop up after that, we can mop up after that.
That works.
Does that sound fair?
That works.
All right, y'all. That is what we're going to do. And I think what we need to do, obviously, to start the podcast is we need to thank our sponsors, the sponsors of this podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Draugr Lager Brewhouse, made with only the finest ingredients and lovingly aged in clay urns for 4,000 years. Draugr Lager brews set the standard for undead craft beers. With more than 8 different specialty and seasonal beers to choose from, Draugr Lager is sure to satisfy even the dustiest of palates. So pick up a Draugr Lager today and experience the refreshing taste of the undead with no bitter afterlife. Thank you very much, Draugr Lager, and we would like to announce to everybody that starting in the next podcast, we are embarking on a mission that we are calling the Virtually Immersive Skyrim Provincial Tour of 2016. You may be asking, well, what is that, guys?
What is that?
What is the Virtually Immersive Skyrim Tour? Well, essentially, what it is that we are going to be broadcasting this podcast live from the following locations. You will see them listed there on the screen. We are going to start in the House of Troubles. We will be broadcasting live from the House of Troubles, followed by Candlehearth Hall, the Bee and Barb, and we are going to be hitting kind of all the major and more interesting taverns that you will find in Skyrim.
Now, that's not to say we won't come to a place near you.
That's true.
We might deviate or add to.
yeah, exactly. These are some of the places that we have on the list right now, and we are having some discussions around locations that we might want to broadcast from that are not taverns or inns. However, those are the establishments where we can get gigs, and we've negotiated with the innkeepers there to allow them to, let us have a corner that we can use. Some people have suggested that maybe we could do some broadcasts from places like Black Reach,
High Hrothgar.
But we have to.
We're still working on negotiating some deals with those.
Yeah. And most importantly, we need to make sure they have the technical infrastructure so that we can move our stuff.
Right, as you can see.
There. Yeah, I mean.
That's important.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. So this is going to be pretty fun, I think, and interesting. You'll notice, obviously, we've got a significant green screen project going on here, which we are working on perfecting. Tonight was too early for us to actually start the tour. So we thought tonight would be a good night to announce it as we mop up some of the additional technical details. But we've got a lighting kit that we're finishing up work on, and then we're also going to be going out and gathering some footage and things like that from these different places. This would probably be a good time to tell folks how this relates to our Patreon campaign, right, Joe?
I think it'd probably dovetail pretty well.
All right. Why don't we get into that? We are actually very excited to announce that we have updated some of the reward levels on our Patreon site. If you haven't checked it out, go take a look, because it relates to what we're doing here. So what we're going to be doing is, as part of this tour, obviously broadcasting from these different inns and taverns, and there is an option in Patreon that if you give at a certain level, we will create an NPC for you that can kind of represent you in Skyrim. And then we will bring all of these regulars into the taverns that we're broadcasting from. So as you're looking at it right now, you're seeing Joe and I sitting here with static images on the green screen that are kind of cruising by. But our ultimate goal is that is going to be actual video from the different locations that we're broadcasting from. And we thought, wouldn't it be cool if Patreon supporters could actually see their own characters wandering around in the inn or tavern as we're broadcasting, right? So that is the plan. We are going to do that. Those of you who have already been giving on Patreon for so long now, you are grandfathered in. We're going to go ahead and make NPCs for you. We've created a submission form, and if you're paying attention to the Patreon notices that come out, these are kind of Patreon subscriber only notices. There is a note in there with the URL that will get you to that form. You can fill it out. It asks a number of questions about the type of character you're interested in, the name of the character, kinds of clothing they wear, a bunch of details, right? And from that, Joe and I are going to create NPCs with complete AI packages. So you have to make some decisions about what these characters will do in different settings.
So you can mill about properly.
Exactly. You can mill about and
maybe
do all
eat
the
some
things.
bread or read a book.
Exactly. Eat some bread, read a book, dance, get drunk, whatever it is that you feel like you want to do, you let us know, and we will build the character and put it in. But that only works at a certain level. I believe it's at a $15 a month contribution. We do have some cool things, though, for $1 a month and $10 a month. Or is it $5? I think it's 1 and 5.
Yep.
Yeah, if you help us out at the $1 level, you are going to receive a small mod, which Joe and I are working on right now. It is called the Patreon Infinium. It is a book in a hidden location, and as a contributor, you will find we will give you the location of that. You can find it, and at that location, you will find a little special gift as well as a book, and that book will have your name in it. as a sponsor on the Patreon sponsors list. And then also that book will be set up to impart upon you character levels or skill levels. So something to think about.
Did we just lose our stream?
No, I think maybe you did because you're on the Wi-Fi. So
hooray!
Yeah, I'm still, I think, looking pretty good over here.
Yeah, it says I don't have an internet connection. So.
Oops. So that's kind of the plan. You get the book, and we are giving the gift of skill levels to our Patreon subscribers. So it's actually going to be a book that will impart some skill levels in much the same way that the Augma Infinium does. Now, if you give it the $5 level, that's kind of cool too, because we're going to devote an entire page in the book to you, along with a screenshot of your character. So, think about it, consider it. It certainly would help us out a lot. We definitely could use the assistance, especially with the more ambitious projects that we're working on right now. Stuff like this, it is not easy to do. There's a lot of moving parts, as you can see from tonight's experience, a lot of moving parts. And without Matt here tonight, it's just Joe and I trying to muddle our way through.
Yeah, it's pretty much Matt's fault. So
yeah,
we would have got a much better start right on time, but
yeah, you can pretty much count on that.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that. We really appreciate it. We've really created a situation here where we want to do more and we want to do better, but definitely it's to the point where it takes 3 pairs of hands for us to do this. So again, the official tour starts next week or next podcast. So in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, a couple weeks.
2 weeks' time.
Cool.
All right. Well, I think what we're going to do, folks, is we've got some additional announcements we want to go through, but I think these are things that we can cover after we have a conversation with Shirley. So I think for right now, what we're going to do is we are going to go to a quick break while we get her connected, and then we'll be back in a few minutes with Shirley on board. We'll do a little bit of an interview and then some Q&A. So if you've got some questions brewing for Shirley, feel free to put them in the chat stream. We'll try to monitor that as we go. If you don't know who Shirley is, I would highly encourage you to get out there and
check her out.
Check out her YouTube channel. So Shirley Curry on YouTube. It is pretty astonishing. So we will be back after this short break.
And we promise not to touch anything major.
No, nothing valuable.
And hold your breath.
Yeah. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Thank you for your patience. We got Shirley with us. Welcome, Shirley.
Hey.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Very good. Thank you.
Glad to have you on. I know that a lot of the folks in the stream have been interested in hearing what you have to say, talking to you. They watch your videos. And there will be a lot of people who will take this in after it's published on YouTube as a video, because I think they're just kind of interested in what you do and why. And I know I've been watching your videos for a while now. I think I started when you were somewhere around video number 6 or 7. And
You're kidding.
No. And I've really enjoyed watching them. And I've also found some other really interesting YouTubers through recommendations you've made in the comments on your channel as well. So
Good.
yeah, I've been watching some artist Caleb, and he and I have been chatting a little bit on YouTube and stuff. So that's been great as well. So I thought, for just to get us rolling here, I do a brief kind of introduction of you, and then I thought it might be kind of interesting to we always kind of start out with, when we're talking to YouTubers, by figuring out what your story is, how you got started on games, and in particular on making Let's Plays, because everybody's story is different and they're all fairly interesting, and I think we'd love to hear yours as well. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Shirley Curry is a YouTuber. I don't know, how long has your YouTube channel been around?
I think I started last August or September.
So about a year, a little bit less than.
little less.
Okay.
And to start with, I mean, you're focused primarily on Skyrim. I know you're doing a few other things now, but for the most part, it's been Skyrim, correct?
Correct. I keep trying to do a few other things, but I love Skyrim.
Yeah. And your YouTube channel just took off. I mean, the subscribership was kind of meteoric, I think.
Yes.
And I don't know if, do you think that that's just a function of the fact that you're of a generation that people don't normally think of as being into video games as much, or?
I think it applies to 3 different things. One, my age, and one, that I don't scream and yell and cuss and then don't run straight through a video and get through with it real quick. I meander around.
Sure.
And they like that. And they like my calm voice. And the other thing is that right after I uploaded my first video, some guy that watched me put it on Reddit and it went viral overnight.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. I think you've
Yeah,
got,
it was.
I mean, it's pretty incredible. With, a little less than a year, you've been at it. And your subscriber numbers are, around 130,000 people.
Just at, it was 133 and YouTube took away about 3,000.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they did that to me too.
Nice.
But
Yeah.
the number for me wasn't quite as stunning as it was for you because of the volume of subs that you have. It's just really amazing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of what got you started down this path? It's really interesting.
Okay. Well, back in the mid-90s, one of my sons gave me a computer and the game Civilization 2. And he taught me how to use the computer and he taught me how to play the game. And I immediately became addicted to that game. And I wouldn't quit playing. He said I was going to have to sleep and eat sometime. But it was hard for me to quit long enough. Anyway, I played all the Civilization games all through the years. Up until 2014, I saw somebody playing Skyrim. And I thought that was a wonderful thing. So I started playing it and I really loved it. Well, I had been making a lot of comments to all of my favorite YouTubers, and people would comment to me about my comments. And I gained maybe 200 or 300 subscribers just from that. I didn't.
Without even having a video, right?
Right. I hadn't even put up a video
Nice.
yet.
Wow.
So they kept asking me, why don't you record your own gameplay? And I was scared to, totally scared to. And finally one day they just kept at me till they talked me into it. So I thought, oh, well, I'll try it. So I did and uploaded it. And I didn't think it was going to get hardly any views at all and a lot of criticism. So I uploaded it, and this is what happened overnight.
Wow.
Nice.
That's so cool. I mean, your son must have had some inkling then. If he got you this computer and then provided you with a game like Civilization, he must have had some clue that it would be of interest to you, right? I mean,
Well,
or was it a shot in the dark on his part?
I don't think it was a shot in the dark. He knew that I was interested in wanting to do things on a computer because what I wanted to do was research and stuff like that, which I still like to do. But he gave me this game, I guess, because he knows that I love to read fantasy novels.
Oh, okay.
And I guess that's why I'm so addicted to Skyrim.
So I guess, yeah, that kind of in part answers one question I had was, if this has always been a genre that's been of interest to you, for...
Oh, yes. Yes. It was the first person that I watched play Skyrim was his YouTube name is iBallisticSquid. And he did all he ever does anymore, it seems like, is Minecraft. And I don't like Minecraft. But he did that Skyrim so great, and he made the characters so real to me. He was always calling Lydia Nessie, and he'd say, "Come on, Nessie," He was always looking back for her to see where she was at.
That's
He
fun.
was just so cute in doing it. I just fell in love with it.
That is so cool.
That's
So,
very cool.
I mean, when obviously you played Skyrim for a while before you put up your first video.
Yeah. Yes.
How did you go about deciding like how to record and how to produce your videos and what to use? I'm interested in kind of what your process is like. I mean, when you make a video, render a video and put it up on YouTube, what's Shirley Curry's video production process like?
Oh my goodness, I almost don't remember. It was probably my son.
Mhm.
I'm always calling. He lives in Ohio, and I'm
Uh-huh.
always calling him for help.
Okay.
But it was probably him that told me to get Fraps because it would be simple and easy.
Okay.
Okay.
And it is. I can't edit on it or anything. That's why whatever bumbling I do and whatever I say is what you get. Because I don't edit.
Well, there's a certain
And,
appeal, obviously.
He
Yeah.
probably showed me how I should upload to YouTube, I
Mhm.
imagine. I don't think I could have learned it by myself.
Mm-hmm. So do you record with Fraps and then just kind of cut your video into chunks that you think would make a good episode then?
No.
Or how do you do it?
I can't do anything like that. I just set my timer.
Oh,
I have a kitchen timer.
okay.
Oh, that works.
And when it goes off, I quit. I have to quit. And I hate to.
Self-regulating.
Sometimes I just cut off, stop Fraps, and then I just start it again and keep on playing for my next
Oh.
video.
That's extraordinary, though. I mean, it's really efficient, and
Oh, yeah.
it's about as authentic as you can get,
Pretty much.
which I think is
I
very
think
cool.
is a huge part of the appeal, what you had mentioned before. So
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
so too.
absolutely.
But I do have to minimize the video, get it down into a smaller package. Is that the terminology?
Sure.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know why it was taking me 2 days and nights to upload to YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Compression. Yes.
And it was
Yeah.
very frustrating to me.
I
But
bet.
I did that video interview that got published recently.
Mm-hmm.
And when that young man was here, his name is Christopher Stout, by the way. And he did that video interview of me.
Uh-huh.
And he came here and spent a couple of days and nights here in my town.
Oh, nice.
And he was appalled that it took that long for me to upload my videos. So he put on my computer a program to minimize that.
Okay.
And so now I can upload it in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Much better.
So you're okay. So you're recording on Fraps. You set a timer. You kind of hit that 30-minute sweet spot or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then you stop, and then you've got this file that you're calling, episode 250 or whatever you are in the order. And then at that point, you're using a compression tool to compress it, and then you're uploading.
Right.
Right? Okay.
Right.
Okay. That is super efficient, very simple.
Yeah.
And I wish that my process wasn't quite so convoluted at the moment. So,
Well, sometimes I wish that I did know how to edit, because there are times that I take a lot of time wandering around hunting for something that I should know where it's at.
uh-huh.
And I would cut all that out
Oh,
before I'd upload it if I knew how and had the tool.
I would argue, though, Shirley,
I
that
think that's a big part of the charm.
That's part of what people really like about your videos. I think that's kind of cool, honestly, because it is so authentic.
Well,
It's so authentic.
It really is.
And that's the thing, right? I mean, ever since I started making videos, I've always been editing my videos. I'm way better at doing it now than I was when I started, but the very fact that you're editing videos means that you're cutting something out, you're bypassing something, You're hiding something. You're, concealing something that you don't want people to see for whatever reason, whether it's because you have some story reason for doing it,
Right.
or because there's some kind of shameful reason for doing it.
In my case, it would be a shameful reason.
Yeah.
I tell them quite readily that I'm a noob, that I'm a derp.
A derpy noob.
A derpy noob.
I love that. Yeah. So, how many episodes are you up to now?
Ooh, 230, I think.
Wow.
Holy crap. That is a lot of content.
You don't sleep, do you?
No, she doesn't.
Well, actually, I spend most of my time reading and answering comments.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
can
I think that's
imagine.
another special part of your channel as well, is that you are so engaged with everyone that comes and visits and leaves comments.
Oh, I love them.
So-
Some of their comments really make me cry,
Oh.
and some of them just make me hysterical laughing. And way back last year, I really got a lot of nasty comments,
Really?
and
That's
I
out
mean
there.
vulgar, nasty.
Right.
And I would leave them on for a while, and what I would do, I would comment to them on my channel and tell them that I didn't appreciate that kind of talk, and that I had young people on there, and I didn't want them reading that stuff.
Right.
Well, if they came back to me nasty after that, I ban them. I have a ban button and I have a delete, and
Yeah.
I
Right.
use them.
Yeah.
Well,
So I have actually had a couple of people come back on and apologize to me, which literally floored me. And
Yeah.
others just go away and leave me alone. And now I hardly ever get any nasty comments.
well, that's good.
That is.
Yeah, there are a lot of unsavory sorts
Yeah.
on the interwebs, but
And sometimes when I get really bad comments, my other commenters will just jump all over them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
so that's always fun to read.
kind of nice when they self-regulate and come to your
Yeah.
come
Right.
to your rescue.
They'll say, you
For
can't
sure.
talk to grandma like that.
Yeah. That's what I kind of have a policy as well. When negative stuff is posted on the channel, a lot of times I will ban or delete those comments, but I always leave them up for a certain period of time, a day or two sometimes, or even just a few hours. And because I'm always interested in seeing, who of my regular viewers will come on and basically kind of let that person know that it's inappropriate. I think in part not because I'm always interested in seeing who's going to come on or whether or not they will help me regulate that behavior, but I'm interested in hearing what they have to say in response, because quite often you get some really interesting information about why people are watching you and why they value your content. And
That's true.
I love to hear those kinds of things, because it lets me know whether I'm doing the right things, or I'm straying from the formula that has been working for me, or
Right.
whatever. But it always feels better to have some of your viewers come to your defense than it does to ban someone, even though it's very satisfying to hit that ban button if someone's been particularly nasty.
I only do that if they're nasty. Now, if somebody makes comments that they just don't like my content, or they think I play too slow, or they don't like my mic or anything like that, I just leave that, because that's their prerogative and that's okay.
Yeah. I think that's a good policy. I will admit I don't always have the degree of, I don't know,
The wherewithal.
yeah. For me, I get impatient, and I can get impatient with people. Like I know that there are times when just, I just want to throw my hands up every time how many times is somebody going to ask me, what mod is that? What mod is that? What mod is that? And it's like, look in the comments. There's a mod list there. I took the time to make that mod list so I wouldn't have to answer this question. But, it's not somebody being nasty. It's somebody just kind of isn't paying attention and they're asking a question. And some days I'm like, hey, oh yeah, it's in the, it's below. And then there are other days when I just want to pull my hair out, But I think that depends a lot on, if I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed or whatever it is.
Well, to me, it depends on how often they've asked the same thing. I just got impatient today with someone that's always commenting on my channel, but he's gotten in this just lately, just nagging at me about the same thing over and over and over, and I've answered him from this way and that way and every way I can think of.
Right.
And I finally told him today, I am through with this subject. I do not want to hear it again. I'm not going to do anything about it. Nothing's going to change. So drop it.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing. You're taking a certain amount of, risk. You're putting yourself out there on YouTube and, people are going to look at your stuff and it's a double-edged sword, right? There's so many people have so many nice things to say. And then there's the trolls and then there's the people in between who are just kind of annoying, and
right.
that's, what are you going to do? I think it's amazing that you're doing what you're doing and doing as much of it as you are. So how many videos, what's your schedule like? I mean, how many videos are you producing a week now?
Well, I had been several months back, I was trying to do 2 a day, but it went to 1 a day until I absolutely felt like I was getting swamped or sort of backed into a corner, or it was almost making me feel panicky because this was fun to me, just a fun thing to do. Right. I'm not making a living at it. It's not my livelihood. So I don't have to be doing it.
Right.
But actually, one person even said to me, we're the ones that you're supposed to be doing this for. So you're supposed to be doing what we want you to do. And I said, no.
Disagree.
If I don't like to play something, I'm not going to waste my time playing it. I only have that many more years left to live. Why should I waste it playing something I hate just to satisfy you?
I got a better idea. They just go and start their own.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's
so
actually funny.
My son said to me, he said, well, Mom, if you're getting kind of frustrated, this isn't your job. So why don't you just back off a little bit? So I have been trying to make it maybe every other day. But they all wanted longer videos on the weekends when they have more time to watch. And so I am trying to give them an hour-long video on Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
And keep the ones during the week a half an hour. Because they like to they said they watch them before they go to school or while they're having their coffee before they go to work.
Right.
Or while they're sitting in the lunchroom at work.
Well, it's very generous that you would even consider kind of adjusting your production schedule, if you will, to accommodate what viewers are asking for. I think that's very nice.
Well, I have all day and all night.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Well, as long as you're enjoying it, I guess.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah. Well, YouTube is a crazy beast. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about Skyrim, because we love Skyrim. Everybody here in the chat room loves Skyrim. And I think, we're interested in kind of hearing your perspective on it. Most of the YouTubers, all the YouTubers that we talk to because they've done something significant in Skyrim. And one of the, I think, most interesting things is to hear why people are into the game, what it is they enjoy about it. So obviously you came into it already with just kind of a love of the fantasy genre, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about kind of what your Skyrim experience has been like. What do you like about the game? What is it that draws you in and keeps you coming back after all this time?
Well, I do like the fantasy aspect of the game, but I'm not all that crazy about going on all the big quests, because it keeps me tied down to one thing after the other. Because every quest leads to something else that you have to do.
Right.
And I'm not a have to do person. I like to go out in the countryside and wander around and stumble on a cave of bandits all on my own.
Right.
And that's fun for me. And I like it when a dragon comes along that I get to fight and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I love the dragons. But when I first started, I was scared of everything. I was scared of the bandits and I was scared of the dragons.
Yeah.
And I tried to stay away from them, I think. But as I leveled up and as I got better weapons and my follower and stuff, why I quit being afraid. And now, and everybody in my comments is always telling me all kinds of strategies. Even my son will get me on chat in Steam and he'll say, Mom, you need to, and he'll start telling me what I should do. Hide behind this pillar. Let your follower tank for you and all this stuff. I can't remember to do all that stuff. I like to get out my trusty two-handed blood skull sword that I named the Decapitator and just wade in there. That's how I like to play.
That's brilliant.
You know, that's the first time I ever watched one of your videos. That's what sucked me in, because I was trying to think of, okay, because I read, I think how I found you was by actually reading an article about you. It was an article online.
I've done many interviews.
Yeah. And obviously this was early on. It was when you were, below, I think 10 episodes, and I can't remember what it was on, but I remember going to check out your first video and thinking to myself, okay, I understand who Shirley Curry is, and I'm trying to picture her playing Skyrim. And when she gets into combat, what is she going to do? And I'm like, okay, she's going to use magic, and she's going to maybe use a bow or something like that. That's what she's going to default to. But no, it was you running into Bleak Falls Barrow with a big iron two-handed sword, I think, at the time. And I was like, holy, I didn't see that coming at all. And that was amazing. And then you wipe these bandits out, and then we're just, where's the loot? Give me the loot. Going after the loot. And I'm like, oh, wow. She's
in business.
She's the real deal. Yeah. It was just like, it was amazing. So I think that's really interesting. And it always kind of made me wonder what, influences your choices in game. I mean, how do you decide where you're going to go and what you're going to do and the things that you're going to use? I mean, are there elements of for you? Is this playing a game, or is this more like a role play or a story, or how does Skyrim kind of
suck you in?
Yeah. Is it how is it for you?
Maybe it's kind of role playing for me, because like I've told my son, I tell stories in my head as I play. He said I should write them down, but I can't take time to stop and write them down. But I like to imagine that I'm right. Well, I don't even imagine. I feel like I'm right there in the game. I'm often saying, I wish I could go to Skyrim and live for a little while. But I really feel like I'm there. I become the character. Just like when you read a book that really, really gets you. You are the character in the book if you really get lost in a book, which I do. Yeah. And I just get lost in the game. That's why sometimes my timer will go off and I'm just still playing. I don't even hear it. I don't even think about it. I'm in the game.
That is definitely a role play, Shirley. That is a role play. If I've ever heard one, right?
Sounds pretty close to me.
Yep. And
the only problem is though that I keep talking to my viewers as I'm playing. I'm grandma talking to them. I'm not my character Catamant talking to them, which ruins the whole role play aspect.
I don't think so. I think that there's different ways of doing role play, and I think there's some people who they try to strictly define a role play by being in character all the time. Maybe that's a definition as it applies to how a game experience is presented on YouTube, but it doesn't. You can't box in, I think, what's going on inside of a person's head when they're playing and what their motivations are for doing the things they do in game.
Right.
I think if you're in game and you know what you're doing is you're pursuing a list of achievements that are going to go up on your profile on Steam or whatever, you're playing that game for a very different reason than a person who is wandering the countryside, looking at everything and gathering things and thinking about what their character's motivations are, what they might do. To me, that's a role play. It may be presented by you as more of a traditional Let's Play, but the reason that you're doing things in game is definitely narrative. It's driven by a narrative you have going on in your head and a sort of a connection you have to the character you're playing and why they're doing the things they're doing. So I think of that as a role play for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, good, because I feel like I'm playing a role in that game because I'm there in it. And when I'm gathering all that loot, it's because in my head, I'm saving all this loot to spend in my house, Breeze Home.
Oh, sure.
Which my son just put me a mod in, and I can hardly wait to. I can't talk about it because I already promised my commenters I'll show them all through Breeze Home now.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Spoilers.
Yeah. And you mentioned a magic user. I'm really surprised that I didn't go that route because of the fact that I love fantasy books so much. But once I got in the game and really got immersed in it and started fighting all these bandits and dragons, I just got thrilled to death with that fighting. I love it. And when they give me the kill cam shot, I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's the coolest thing.
It is. It is.
I was so excited one day in one of my games that I had everything was in blue and white and black. Magic was going on. I stuck this sword in this Falmore, I think, and hoisted him up in the air on this sword in this kill cam shot. It was the coolest thing I ever saw. I thought, oh my God, I didn't take a picture of that. I didn't have time. And one of my viewers, that she's just one of my regulars. She's an older lady, and she's a real sweetheart. And she commented to me and she said, I took a picture of that for you, Grandma.
Nice.
And I was so happy, and I used it for the cover picture of my video.
Awesome.
Nice. That's so cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the game certainly will tell you a story if you're willing to hear it, and I totally think that that's what you're doing there. That's been my impression watching you, and I don't think that most people would argue that the way you're playing your character strikes me as a person who's driving a character based on their motivation. So before you started the Let's Play, I'm assuming that you had played some before that. You'd played other characters before, or is that true?
Yes, I had tried maybe a few plays of all kinds of the other players. I think the only one I haven't played is vampire. I don't want to be a vampire.
All right.
Did you try the werewolf? Did you try that one?
It seems like I did, because I remember turning into a werewolf once or twice. Maybe I got bitten by one.
I don't know. Never know.
Yeah, I did that.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
So do you run very many mods at all, or are you just kind of dipping your toes in that now, or?
Dipping my toes now. I had put in some mods, and my viewers decided that it was too OP for Grandma.
What?
Yeah, so I had to quit using them.
Oh man.
You do what you need to do.
Yes. We got an episode of this podcast. I can't remember which number it is, but it's called OP equals BS. You should listen to that. Listen to that and then let us know what you think.
Yeah, but this really was OP because it gave me a chest behind that behind the smithy that's near
Yeah.
Bree's home,
Okay.
All right.
just as you come in the gate.
Yep.
And it was totally mine. Nobody else, maybe they didn't even know it was there or could see it, but
Mhm.
nobody could get into it but me. It was forever mine throughout the rest of the life of my game.
Okay.
And you open it up, it had 9,999 value on
Oh,
everything that was in it. And it
okay.
was
Yeah, that might be a
refillable.
bit much.
I don't know.
That was pretty OP. And I thought, when I looked in it, I
All
thought,
right.
oh my goodness, look at all this
Mhm.
riches.
Wow.
And they wouldn't let me. They wouldn't let me. So my favorite mod that my son just put in for me is that new menu, which really
Oh.
organizes everything so much better.
Right.
Mhm.
Sky UI, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's worth it.
So,
So,
and then I asked him for the house.
Oh,
is your
yeah.
son a big player too?
He played WoW for like 13 years and
Oh,
was
okay.
a team leader on there.
Sure.
Okay.
And he finally retired from that.
Right.
I hope he didn't retire because he felt like he was getting too old. No, he's just busy.
Yeah, that happens.
But yeah, and he's playing games now. I think he's playing that one where they race them cars around and fly up in the air to bat the ball in the goal.
Hmm.
I can't think of the name of it right now.
I don't know that one.
No.
Can't remember. No, no idea. So you had mentioned that you have you thought about playing some other things. What are some other games that you enjoy? We've talked a little bit about Civ, right? But then also Skyrim. What else do you like?
Okay, before I ever started playing Skyrim, before I watched I Ballistic Squid play it, I was playing Banish, and that's a more simple game of settlers getting to build their houses and build up their resources and jobs and
Okay.
stuff and keep
Right.
them alive and keep them happy so that they don't all die out.
Okay.
And I played that game until I got all the achievements in the game. And
That was called Banish?
Banished.
Banished. Okay. Show notes. Put that in
And
show notes.
I can't remember what I was playing way back then.
Uh-huh.
My memory doesn't work that well.
I saw you do a little it was a little walkthrough you did of some kind of an indie game in development where it was just a path through the woods.
Oh, I took my grandkids for a walk in the woods.
Yeah.
That's because
great.
the game was so beautiful,
Mhm.
but there wasn't anything in the game to do.
Yeah, just
so-
walk.
So it's a
So I
nature
was so
walk.
disappointed, but it was so pretty.
Uh-huh.
So I decided, well, shoot, I'll just take my grandkids for a walk through here,
Yeah.
show them everything.
I watched that one. Yeah, that was actually very relaxing. I don't even remember what the game was, but it was just like taking a walk in the woods with Shirley. It was pretty much
Yep.
just a stroll.
Wow.
It was kind of
Nature
cool.
walk.
Yeah, it was nature walk. Yeah. we
Mhm.
did. Yeah, nature
I
walk.
can't remember the name of the game now.
I
either.
don't remember either.
Well, it wasn't a game.
Wasn't a
Never
game
has-
yet.
Never has become one. yet.
Oh, it was aspiring to be a game at one point, I assume.
Yes.
Maybe.
Hmm.
All
They
right.
forgot to finish it.
I guess. I guess. Well, you know what? What? Obviously, we like to talk to YouTubers, and one of the things we like to do is give you guys an opportunity to plug anything you got coming up on your channel that you're excited about. Anything new you want to tell people about? Is there anything you want to plug while you're here?
No, I don't have anything exciting coming up, but I am in search of new games to play, and I just cannot find them. And
Mhm.
everything that everybody suggests to me, I don't like. They want me to play these shoot 'em up, kill everybody all the time games, and I hate those. That's not
Mhm.
fun.
Right.
And they'll want me to. Everybody wants me to play Far Cry 4. Well, I tried that, and I played 3 or 4 episodes of that, uploaded it, and quit. I told them I just couldn't do this. It's a depressing game and an ugly game. Everything's destroyed. There's no beautiful places to go stroll around in, and
Right.
there's no dragons. And I just didn't like it, and I'm not going to play it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I kind of makes me wonder what are the criteria that you're looking for in terms of character. I mean, obviously you've got a lot of control in Skyrim. You can be the character that you want to be. There are other games that potentially have some of the open world aspects and environments and things that make Skyrim so appealing, but give you a lot less control over your character.
Yeah, and I don't like no control.
Right. You want to create the character you want to create.
Yeah, I want to dream.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you about one. The developer sent me the key to deliver us the moon. And so I played, that was for the demo. And so I played that. I think it made like 3 or 4 episodes. One of my favorite gamers did it in 1 episode, not me. Got to wander around, look at everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, this astronaut's going to be sent up to the moon as a last resort to make things compatible for a settlement to come up there and start our civilization there, because our world's been destroyed. Mm-hmm. So the demo goes through the process of him finding things and everything in this spaceship he's going up in. And then he lands on the moon, and the doors open, and he's looking out on the moon with this beautiful sky and the moon in it. I mean, the earth in it. Mm-hmm. And that's the end of the demo. And I think, oh my goodness, I want to get to go out there and explore so bad. So I can hardly wait for the game. I asked them, I said, are you going to send me a key to the game? They said, certainly.
I bet he will.
But I have wanted a space game that I could just explore on planets. And I think there's another one that's coming out that's going to be kind of like that.
No Man's Sky, probably.
Yes,
right?
that one.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, that is pretty incredible, the way that one is put together.
Yeah. But all these other kinds that all it involves is building up your spacecrafts and all this shooting and dodging and carrying on out in space. I would never keep up with all them spacecraft out there fighting. I'd just die over.
Over and over and over until you can't handle it anymore.
Right. I tried one of those once, and I couldn't remember the controls to guide my spacecraft. And the pilot of my spacecraft said, I'm waiting for some control from you, or something like that. And I was hunting frantically all over my keyboard trying to remember what I was supposed to do. And finally he said, I don't think this is going to work out very well. And he blew up. He blew up, and I felt so bad. It didn't feel like a game. It felt real, and I killed him. I can't do that.
How did you live with the guilt, Shirley?
I didn't hardly.
Well, you know what? If there's any one good thing that comes out of this interview with us, maybe it's that we will try to capture more succinctly exactly what it is that Shirley is looking for in a game to help guide your viewers toward recommendations that'll actually work for you, huh?
Good. I wish.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm the same way. I mean, I love Skyrim because it provides me with all the things I want. I like the control. I like to create my own story. I don't like to be force-fed story, stuff like that. And I keep thinking about games like Witcher, for example. That seems like a game that I would really love, but I have a difficult time getting past the fact that I have to play a specific character or, that kind of thing.
I can say something about Witcher 3.
Say it.
I have that, and I think it's a really cool-looking game, and I wouldn't mind playing as him. It's just that I can't get out of the tutorial because I can't learn the fighting moves.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I want to play it. I really would play it if I could just learn how.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, I don't know what you do there. That's kind of rough.
You have to be younger, I think.
Well, Skyrim's pretty forgiving. You know, you can
Yes.
get out there. You may die a few times, but you'll come back and try again and get it eventually. It's not overly complicated unless you want to make it that way. For those people
Right.
who like
Right.
that sort of experience, there's mods that'll allow them to have that kind of experience. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think we've got some questions for you, Shirley.
I got a question right now.
Sure.
Why are you guys static on the screen instead of me being able to watch you talk? And why is the chat not scrolling up the side?
Well, I don't know. Your machine may be locked up a little bit. We're definitely moving around in the stream, and people are chatting actively here, so there may be a little bit of lag on your end.
There it goes. Okay.
Boom!
Boom.
Yeah, we had dialed down the Shirley bandwidth button here. We dialed it back up a little bit to give you a little bit more.
No, I just clicked
Shirley
on what I was supposed to.
Yeah, we got a special button here. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. That's the Shirley dial. We dial the bandwidth up and down. No, we don't have any such thing. But we do have some questions from viewers if you're interested.
We've got a
Okay.
couple suggestions of people who might think, there's some games out there that you might be interested.
Here we go.
Don't know, but we'll throw them out there, and I'm sure you've already perused or thought about them. But Far Cry 3, perhaps. Mass Effect. Those are a couple.
I don't know that much about Mass Effect, but that's doubtful.
Yeah. Mass Effect has some really lovely story things going on.
Mhm.
Some really great environmental things going on, but it's not as open world as I think
Right.
Shirley might be looking for.
How about Dragon Age?
How about that?
I looked at that and I watched somebody play it for a little bit, and I
Not
wasn't
sure.
taken with that too
No?
well either.
Okay. So, well, that's
Very
kind of,
hard to please.
Yeah, look, no.
you like what you like.
I definitely think No Man's Sky sounds like it's right up your alley, for
Yes,
sure.
I'm hoping.
Based on what I've seen, I mean, I've seen some really kind of cool demos of that thing, and the possibilities are, literally endless with the game. So it's pretty cool. What else we got?
Dragon's Dogma. I haven't heard of that one.
I've heard of it, but I don't remember what it is.
I haven't heard of that one either.
So
If
maybe
it's on Steam, I'll look for it and
maybe something to
look at it.
up.
But
I'm not sure if it's a Steam game or not, but
I don't
Sounds
get
like it's
anything
got
that's not on
dragons,
Steam.
Shirley. Dragon's Dogma sounds pretty positive.
sounds pretty dragonish
Well,
to me.
Dragon Age did though too.
Well, yeah,
so.
that's true.
All right.
All right, well, let's jump up to a question someone had thrown out here earlier, and going back to your interest in fantasy, and how long when did you get involved in? I mean, does that go way back to when you're a wee little lass, or what did you start reading? What was kind of the trigger that got you?
I've
hooked?
read ever since I was a little girl, all kinds of books, and I used to read like Grimm's fairy tales
Oh, okay.
when I was
Yeah.
little. But what really started me was back in the 80s, sort of late 80s, and my 4 sons bought all of the series of books to a particular fantasy novel and gave me that for Christmas. And I read those set of books through like 3 or 4 times. I loved them. And from there, I just started reading all kinds of fantasy authors.
Do you remember what that series was?
Or
We're all
Oh,
on pins and
man.
needles. We're all going to go and buy it right now.
just slide on by that one.
okay, all right.
There's a lot in that genre. For
Yeah.
Sure, so.
Is there anything you're reading at the moment that you can mention? Or
No.
will? Okay.
No,
Okay.
Mhm.
I just finished the Black Daggerhood Blood Brotherhood something. It's vampires though. It's
Okay,
not
all right.
fantasy.
Okay. A vampire thing?
I didn't think you
Yeah.
liked vampires.
I won't play one, but these
okay.
guys in these books are pretty hot.
Oh. Now we
Okay.
get down to it.
Yeah, now we understand. Now we understand. Yeah, somebody was speculating whether or not the series you read was the Dragonlance Chronicles.
Nope. Nope.
The Belgariad? It could have been.
Well, let's not pester.
Why not? She's on her show. Let's pester the heck out of her.
Everybody else pesters me.
Why not us?
Right.
Yeah. No, there's so many. I've been reading. Well, I read a ton of fantasy. I'm always reading something, and some of the books are more accessible than others. I mean, there's some that I started reading this book called Gardens of the Moon by Stephen Erickson, and I got probably halfway through it, and I'm like, this is really densely written. I mean, it's really like thick with characters and complicated relationships, and I'm like, I'm not ready for this. I set it aside and then read through several other series and then came back to it and started reading the whole series. The series is called Malazan, Book of the Fallen, and I'm on book 8 out of 10 right now. And seriously,
Who did you say the author was?
Stephen Erickson.
Oh.
Yep. Malazan, Book of the Fallen. And, each book is super thick. And there's 10 of them in total. I'm on number 8, and I think I've been working on that series for off and on for a year and a half, I think. So
I love series books. I don't like to read a single book.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read any of the Discworld books?
Joe's a big fan of Discworld.
I like Discworld by Terry Pratchett.
I have not tried those, and
No, I haven't.
It is a massive series. He's got dozens of books in that series.
and that's fantasy
That is a fantasy genre.
series.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to check it
It's a
out.
very humorous fantasy.
Is it?
Oh.
That might be kind of fun.
Yeah. I think
Something-
they're wonderful. But
Yeah, I tend to read a lot of fantasy that falls into a subgenre I think called grimdark fantasy, where it's magic is either something that's not accessible by the average person, or it's so rare that you hardly see it in the stories at all. I've read a lot of stuff kind of in that vein, and I might be looking for something a little bit more
Interesting.
more fun. Yeah.
When my son was reading some stuff that I had written,
Mhm.
I was trying to write a fantasy book,
Mhm.
and he would remind me of the fact that if you're using magic, that usually the caster, it costs him something. Like he loses some of his strength, or something is taken from him when he uses some magic.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that I should remember that when I'm writing things down like that. So I
Well-
never really noticed that before.
Yeah, I think insofar as storytelling and that kind of thing, it lends a little more of a vulnerability to an otherwise
Yeah.
powerful character.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
it could be any type of loss or any type of
Right.
weakness.
Yep.
But yeah, I would agree with him to an extent on that.
Yep. Jack of Kell mentions the Wheel of Time series. That's
Oh,
by
yeah.
Robert Jordan.
I read that one twice.
Those are great books.
Mhm.
I confess I've still not gotten all the way through that. So there's a lot of books there. I think I went through the first 4 and then moved on to some other things, but that's one I'd love to get back to
Yeah, that's
So-
a good series.
for sure. Yeah, well, all right, folks, if you got any more questions, send them in now. So we've got to get Shirley back to her
Back to her playtime.
her playtime and making us videos, because we don't want her to get anxious here. Hasn't produced a video.
Say, get her back so that she can go to bed.
Yeah, no, well,
Let's do
you
that.
you stay up later than we do, so yeah. No, this has been really, really wonderful. We've wanted to talk to you for some time, because I think you bring kind of a really interesting perspective to the whole discussion of Skyrim and why people play it and what motivates them and stuff.
I see a comment on there.
What?
David Wallace.
Mhm.
Yeah.
First, he says it's called checks and balances. That's what that what it costs a spellcaster.
Yep.
But he also then says, quick comment, I'm 50 and have worried that a time comes where you just sort of give up things. Thanks for helping some of us see that passion is passion, no matter the age. This is what I'm trying to accomplish with my series.
Well, mission accomplished.
This is it.
Mission
Yeah,
accomplished.
excellent comment, Mr.
Mhm.
Wallace.
Yep. Yeah. And then someone else mentioned also that Sword of Truth series.
Yes.
That's another one that's really
I
great.
read that.
Did you? Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good one too.
That's good.
Do you have any opinions on the Fallout series?
Yeah.
any opinions you care to share?
Yeah. I'm not going to play it.
Okay.
Oh, I kind of figured that.
Yeah.
If you don't like to see things all broken down and ugly, then you probably
Yeah.
No.
Clomp,
Yeah.
clomp, clomp.
yeah. We've had some interesting comments from other folks we've interviewed on this show about Fallout. I played Fallout 3.
I have yet to play it.
Yeah, I think you might enjoy it. It was one of those, for me, it was my first foray into an open world RPG type of game. And I really didn't know what I was doing when I first got in there. I mean, I literally did everything the opposite of what you were supposed to do. And I think what intrigued me about it for me was in that game, they kind of steer you towards, leaving the vault and going to this, city or this little town that's supposed to be close by. I completely missed that. I probably had, I probably had logged 15 or 20 hours in the game and had only, I think, gotten to maybe level 5. And I was literally living under a bridge in the game. Like, most people at level 5 have they've gotten a house and they've completed these missions and stuff. For me, I was just like everything I could do to stay alive. And I fought a bunch of bandits or whatever that were living under this freeway overpass. And it took me like 10 tries to finally defeat all of them. And then when I finally did, I discovered that they were living under this bridge and there was a bed there I could use and there was a place I could stash my things. And I was literally living under the bridge. And it was so funny because I'm like, is this how this game is supposed to be? Because I'm living under a bridge right now. And I finally went out on the internet and Googled what am I supposed to do here? And people are like, oh, and then you do this and you do this and this works like this and this works like this. And I'm like, what? I'm living under this bridge and I didn't do any of these quests and I missed all this stuff. And at that point, I was like, okay, do I stick with Bridge Guy or do I go back and make a new guy and try to do everything the way I was supposed to in the first place? I decided to stick with Bridge Guy. I stuck with Bridge Guy because Bridge Guy had an interesting story, So, yeah, that Fallout is interesting, and I never could get into New Vegas at all. I played Fallout 3 and couldn't do New Vegas. So
I tried New Vegas too, and I didn't get very far with that.
Oh yeah,
and I'd have probably stayed with the Bridge Guy too.
Sometimes you got to.
When I finally decided I wasn't going to play Fallout 4 anymore, was when I finally got back to my house where I had started out from and met that stupid robot. I mean, here everything was dead.
Yeah.
All of this Fallout, and he was jokey. I mean, he sounded like he was simple-minded. I just turned around, walked away, and said, "I'm through with this."
You're done. Yeah, yeah. The world's falling apart, and he's cracking wise while you're, It's there's a lot of irony in that game, and if irony is not your sort of favorite mode of humor, then I think there's probably a lot left to be desired.
Balance there.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
I laugh at a lot of stuff, but I
anymore?
didn't think he was funny at all.
Oh yeah. What's Shirley's opinion about the Fallout series? We've been all over that.
Yep. That was that was
yeah.
what I. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. And look at this. Oh, I got a Fallout house when I was level 3 because of Megaton. Well, you know what? You were way smarter than I was, dude, because I just walked right past Megaton and went to the bridge.
And stayed there.
Yeah. I found an abandoned grocery store where I could loot and then live under my bridge. So,
And you went straight to the bridge.
Does she role play or have a story for her characters in Skyrim? So we did touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
But let's just quickly where your Khajiit character is concerned, what kinds of things were you thinking about as you created the character?
Because the Khajiit are merchants, and I knew by that point, once I decided to start recording, that I'd tried everything else and wasn't happy with just following quest lines, that I wanted to just wander around the countryside. So I thought, well, what better character to use than a merchant? He can just travel around, being a traveling merchant and stopping traders when he wants to sell stuff and go out and explore. And so that's what I had in mind when I made it.
Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, you've mentioned that in some of your early videos, that you were kind of a Khajiit merchant was the basis for the character. Now he's some kind of big, highfalutin, dragonborn adventurer.
Yeah. And he likes to kill things.
With the two-handed blood skull sword of death and decapitation. Yes, there you go. The decapitator. Well, thank you so much, Shirley, for being on. It's been a joy to talk to you. Super fun.
Well, it's been fun for me.
Yeah, this is great. I'm looking forward to seeing where your Skyrim experience goes. Do you think that this is your current playthrough is one that's going to keep going for a long time? Or have you thought about if you're going to start a new character, try anything different, or what are your plans?
I don't know how I could ever finish this one. It can go on forever.
I know.
Sometimes I think I would like to start a new character, but it would just be for my personal play. I wouldn't record one because this one is my character. I mean, it's me. And I think it's forever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think definitely yours is going to go down as one of the more amazing Skyrim Let's Plays that has been produced. I think,
Thanks.
just because of the way you're doing it, and how dedicated you are to it, and how dedicated so many fans of your story are to it. I think that's amazing. I think they're into the story, and frankly, they're into you as a storyteller, which I think is pretty cool.
I do too. And they love to help me. I'll ask them questions in my video, and in their comments, they give me all the answers and tell me what to do and where to go. So they like to help me out.
Well, I'm sure that you've got a lot more Skyrim adventuring to share with them in the future, and we're all looking forward to seeing it.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me here, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Shirley. Now, dear viewers, we are going to take a little break, and then we are going to come back and do some announcements. We'll do some additional Q&A and run through a few more things that are going on with the podcast and the YouTube channel. But first, this break from Draugr Logger. Welcome back, everybody. We took a little immersion break there. And you know what? We are, let's see, what's this lobby music doing? Oh, you know what? It didn't do that at all. Because I'm in studio mode. Jesus.
Okay.
They can probably hear me now, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's confirm. Let's confirm that people can hear us and see us. Holy heck. Look at all those kill cams going on, man.
That's a ton of kill cams.
Yeah, hang on. Gotta adjust my lighting. Otherwise we get weird stuff going on.
All right.
There we go. That should be a little better, I think. Maybe better.
Okay, they can hear us.
Okay. Okay. We're working on it. We're working on it. Excuse me.
Comedy of errors, I believe you said.
That is exactly what I said. Comedy of errors. I think part of the problem is we've got such a cobbled together setup right now that it's going to take a while before everything sort of falls in line, so to speak.
Work in progress.
Yeah, it's definitely a work in progress. One of the things that we definitely want to do that fits into the theme of the Virtually Immersive Skyrim Provincial Tour 2016 is the idea of immersing ourselves in the game, and we can't readily immerse ourselves in the game without really committing to our roles, right? I mean, we really have to commit. So
That's true.
What we're going to do right now, and you can feel free to join us if you like. You can ignore this if you like. That's up to you. We are going to take a little immersion break, and we're going to immerse ourselves in Skyrim for just a moment.
Just to get in the headspace.
Just to get in the headspace, since we are
right.
technically in the game almost.
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 What inn are we in?
What? Oh, this? I think this is... I don't think it's the Sleeping Giant, because I think we would see an alchemy stand back there if it was the Sleeping Giant.
Yeah.
But this could be
Depends on the angle.
Yeah, this could be one of, say, 10 different inns that all look identical throughout Skyrim, which I suspect are franchises.
You might be onto something.
Yeah, I think they're franchises.
So, anyway, should we...
Yep, immersion break.
Okay, immersion break.
Ready? Immerse. Are you immersed?
I'm feeling it.
All right, I'm immersed. Let's go.
Okay.
Okay. Immersion achieved.
I second that.
McTavern. I love it. That could be it. McTavern. It's a franchise. All the designs are the same. So, well, some of them have doors. They're the ones who've upgraded their franchises. That's maybe more like not the owner-operator franchise, but more like the corporate store.
Yeah, that could be. That could be.
They get the doors. Okay. So welcome back, everybody. We appreciate you sticking around with us. We have had a lot of crazy stuff going on this evening with regard to our stream. the incredible thing is we're having some difficulty with the stream, but all the banana stuff that we set up in the studio here to do the green screen seems to be working awfully well. Which I can't even believe because it's put together on a shoestring budget, but it's working. So, yeah.
Something's got to work.
Yeah. I can only hope that when Matt comes back and can lend his technical expertise to ours, and the three of us can tackle this thing together, that we can get through some of our streaming issues too. So that is my hope. So we thought it might be sort of fun to talk a little bit about all manner of things, but I think we wanted to do a few more announcements, maybe do some character updates, talk a little bit about the characters that we're playing, or in my case, not playing at the moment, and just kind of do some of the usual Character Crusade stuff this episode. It was wonderful talking to Shirley. I'm glad we had an opportunity to do that, but our plan was to kind of cover some of this stuff before that interview, so we're going to make up for it a little bit here. And then if you're interested, we will stick around to answer some questions and stuff like that too. We'll do a Q&A for us as well. So I'll do a quick update here on how things are going for me technically. The good news is that my machine is fixed, and I did not have to send it in for an RMA.
Yay.
Yay, this is good. Now, I do not have the system back yet. I will be picking it up this week, but it means that I will be able to begin producing content again about 3 weeks sooner than I was initially suspecting that I would be able to produce it. So that is very good. That means that Rune Runner will be hopefully returning here soon, and that Mortal Blade will be returning soon and wrapping up. And then we will also be able to continue our 3-play as well, and continue Silee's story that we're doing in this series called Wayward. So very excited about that. It'll be great to be back up and running again. Now the plan is I am still going to be going through and sort of methodically changing my complete setup for Rune Runner with the help of Cal from Dirty Weasel Media. Check out his YouTube channel, Dirty Weasel. He's got some amazing stuff out there, and he really knows the Skyrim mod organizer and how those mods are constructed backwards and forwards. And if he doesn't understand a mod, he knows how to test them. So we are going to be working together to produce the most stable, cleanest possible mod setup we can, and we will be documenting some of that in video form. So if you want to follow along, feel free to follow along and use some of the suggestions. So very excited about that. You had some stuff too, Joe, right? What do you got?
I did. I got a couple things. First, we'll start off with probably coming out. I'm not sure exactly when, but the same day that this particular episode gets released on YouTube, outside of this stream, of course, will be a recording I made for the Skyrim Book Club. And if you're not familiar with the Skyrim Book Club, what it is a collaboration of a variety of contributors, anybody and everybody that can record a book in game. Cool. Can submit this to the Skyrim Book Club, and if it passes muster, the founder, Steve, at the Dice Nerd on Twitter, will put it into his podcast rotation. So
cool.
I have a reading of, oh gosh, what did I read again now? Stu, what did I read?
I don't know I can't remember what that was. I can't remember the name of it.
Holy cow, I'm blanking. I read it like about 30 times trying to get it recorded properly, and now, of course, I can't.
It turned out great.
It
turned out great.
I'll think of the name here in a moment. But so that is coming out on Friday, and
cool.
So check that out.
And the recording, I can vouch for the recording. It turned out really good.
Cool.
Considering what you were working with to get the recording done, it was turned out really well.
Yeah, so. I definitely need to get up to speed on all of that good stuff. But for what I was doing and how I did it, I'm happy with my first attempt.
Yep.
So
more to come.
That's coming out, and then I think. Not really update. I can launch into a character update.
Yeah, do it.
Okay.
Let's do a character update. We got to
So-
hear a little bit about your character in the last episode.
Yeah,
but
Matt and I had
more
some
is happening,
time
right?
Matt and I had some time to go over characters pretty well last episode. So I haven't done a ton with Jaleel Tool, excuse me, since then. But I did have kind of my own little comedy of situational events as I was trying to find my way up to kill an ice wraith north of, well, it'll be northeast, I guess, of Winterhold.
Okay.
Is it Winterhold? Yes, Winterhold.
And is this a Stormcloak thing?
This is a Stormcloak thing. So
Okay.
I went down. I opted to start the quest line.
Civil War?
Thank you.
Civil
On-
War.
God, I'm just such an idiot.
It's past your bedtime, dude.
Yeah. So I started the Civil War. I went all the way up to try to find this ice wraith on this floating iceberg way up north, and I have Frostfall installed. I had a little bit of trouble with the freezing cold water. I actually never made it to the iceberg to kill the ice wraith. I have the mod set so that I don't die, but what happens is my character will collapse and then he'll wake up in some kind of safe area. So
I've done that before.
I've
I'm not sure how I feel about that, actually, that whole
I kind of like it,
concept.
actually.
Do you?
I
ya?
do.
Okay.
So I think I made it to the edge of the iceberg before passing out of sheer cold. And I do have Decrethus with me, so he dragged my sorry ass back to a nice warm campfire
Okay.
that happened to be positioned next to the wreck of the Pride of the Telvos, which is a broken ship that is, I won't say surrounded, but occupied by bandits. So as I'm setting up my tent, because of course I can't get warm by the fire itself, I have to set up my tent, and I'm trying to capture some warmth so I can warm up, and then Bandit Chief comes over and takes a look to see what's going on. So here I am, half-ass cold, running around, trying to let Decrethus take out this Bandit Chief for me.
That's
His best-
Dirkethus, man. He's tough as nails.
Oh, we like him a lot.
Yeah.
He's saved my bacon a lot.
Uh-huh.
So I tried a couple times, failed every time trying to get to this stupid ice wraith, and ended up consoling myself that I just need to figure out cold weather first.
Uh-huh.
I need to figure this out first. So I tried to make my way back to Winterhold. Of course, I collapsed on the way back.
Where'd you end up, Joe?
Fortunately, I made it close enough to the city where Decrethus dragged my sorry
Right.
ass back up to the inn.
Uh-huh.
So I promptly left Winterhold after warming up.
Right.
And I did buy a horse. So I hopped
Oh.
on the horse. Actually, kind of a nice looking Appaloosa.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. And what?
I don't even know what an Appaloosa is, but sure. Sounds great.
So I am now back in Riften where
Okay.
it's warm and toasty. So
Excellent.
I'm going to stick in southern Skyrim for a while
Ah.
until I can figure out
I think that's
how to
good.
save my lizardy, scaly ass from freezing to death. So
I'd say stay in the south where you can bask on rocks anytime you get cold.
I come from a marsh.
Right.
It's warm. I'm not made for this.
Marsh never froze over.
Not that I'm aware
Never. Never did. Okay.
of. So
Yeah, that's Frostfall can be very unforgiving. And I always found it interesting how in a situation like yours, right? Somehow I can travel on that road between Windhelm and Winterhold and
Mhm.
get killed like 50 times. But incredibly, when I'm unconscious, I seem to make it there, without any problem. So, I mean, I don't know. Who's to say I wasn't, whoever I was with wasn't attacked 50 times while I was unconscious. But the assumption is always that somebody competent finds you and takes you somewhere.
Well, fortunately for me, it works out because
Yeah.
I do have a follower
Mm-hmm.
who is obviously a lot more hardy than I am.
Uh-huh. There
But,
you go.
Uh,
Yeah, Turkethus.
So that is.
But
that-
you broke him out.
I did.
So
I saved his ass.
exactly.
And now he's just repaying the favor
He owes you
50-fold.
over and over and over again. Yes. Oh, I
so-
love it.
So that's kind of the quick update on Jolteal.
Okay, cool.
Jolteal.
Well, I'm glad somebody in this group is playing Skyrim right now. I don't really have anything to report on the character front in terms of progress towards a game.
No.
However, I'm hoping that will all be changing very soon. I don't see any reason why. I can't think of anything else that we need to go over specifically. We could probably just kind of jump into a QA, right?
Sure.
We're good? Good with that?
I think so.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and do that. If you do have questions for us, and I see some are already arriving, feel free to pop those puppies into the chat stream, and we will address them. Lord Doom Chicken has one here that I think we could address right away while we're waiting for anyone else who has questions regarding favorite characters. So if you let's see, we've kind of gone down there. More than one person wants to have Doom Chicken's question answered. So question for each of you: what's your most favorite character you've developed? If it's Fleet for you, Stu, what is your second favorite? Lord Doom Chicken's tired of hearing about Fleet, I think. He's had enough. I'll start. My favorite character, boy, that's tough. Fleet was certainly a favorite, but I think he was a favorite for maybe a different reason. When it comes to pure play, for me, it's kind of a toss-up, I think, between Sagramore and Vander. And Sagramore, because there's some nostalgia with him. I've played that character more than once, in more than one playthrough, in other words. So I've advanced the character to, say, level 30, and then I put him on ice for a long time, and then I came back and played him again with a completely different mindset and totally kind of reinvented him. And that was a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed him because I love playing characters who are just warriors, you know? And he's a great warrior. He's super fun to play. I think of him as being, you know, kind of dark and stoic and, you know, everything that I find intriguing about a warrior type character. However, I will say that right now my absolute favorite is Vander, and I'm not saying that just because he's the flavor of the month, he's the newest character, but because there's something about his concept that really resonates with me, that I really love about him. I like his style. I like his freewheeling attitude. I like his sense of humor. I like his somewhat vacant mind, you know. I like his sense of purpose or no purpose, depending on your perspective. I think he's a really interesting and somewhat challenging character to play. And he may not seem like a challenging character on the surface, but from a role play perspective, he is, because one of the things that I think is a characteristic of Vander is that he's kind of got this bottomless well of optimism and positivity about the world. And I keep thinking about, first of all, where does that come from? And how does a character maintain that in the face of everything that is going on in Skyrim? It would be very easy for me to turn Vander into a dark character. And that tends to be what happens to characters in this game, is they become, even if they start good, they go dark, right? go dark. They can become brooding, and they can become all these things. And for me, the particular challenge of Vander was, what kind of person does a character have to be in order to maintain that high level of optimism and innocence and curiosity that makes him who he is? So, to me, it would be, I think, very easy to say that the world kind of beats him down and he becomes darker. But that's not really how I want to play him, ever, really. I mean, he will have moments that are blue moments, but ultimately I want him to kind of be the same person and evolve in a different way. So for me, I love the challenge of Vander, and I love just thinking about who he is as a person and what makes him that way and what makes him stay that way. I think that is the biggest challenge with him. It's not combat tactics and all those kinds of things. They are a challenge because he's got a very specific way of doing things that makes it somewhat difficult to level sometimes. I mean, if you're running away from everybody, how does a fella level? You know what I mean? So I think there are going to be some just gameplay mechanics type challenges with him going forward, but I think the challenge I enjoy the most with him is, where is he going to evolve as a character? And thinking about kind of what the end game is and what are the pieces that I would put in place in terms of his character and personality to make him follow that path. He's certainly not, I wouldn't describe him as being like innocent. He knows how to fight, and he fights all the time, and we've seen him kill people, and he doesn't seem overly disturbed by it. He never sits back and says, wow, I just killed somebody. But I think we've only begun to scratch the surface of why he is the way that he is. So I'm excited about that exploration by far, I would say. That character. Cool. Vander and Sagramore is a close second. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep. You, Joe?
Number one, I guess, would probably be Inaroth, just because she's so fresh at this point. Kind of felt like I've really talked about her a lot, so I don't know what more I can add to her story, her reasons why, other than it's just this resonation of her personality and that dark start and how she evolved to kind of something bigger unexpectedly. Beyond her, probably Grimal.
Oh, sure.
He was an orc warrior. He was a sword and board, actually more of a axe and board, axe and shield combo. And I liked him a lot because he kind of like Sagramore, he was just a tank.
Yeah.
He just went into battle and just wreaked havoc because he could.
Right.
Just bashing with the shield, hacking and slashing with the axe.
Nothing wrong with that.
And just moving through. And that was, that was kind of fun to do. So I would say Grimal, and just his sense of kind of a zealot, very much a zealot for his, a racial zealot, if you will.
Okay.
And his desire to really want to unify and bring that orcish nation kind of back into the forefront and really the glory of what he thought it should have been.
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in hearing more about Grimal, we talked about him a few times in earlier episodes of the podcast, because around the time that we started this podcast, I think you were still playing Grimal.
I think I was just on the tail end. His game was starting to get really, really flaky because of my random, or not random, but just wild abandon with mods.
Yeah.
So common
story.
Yes. So, but that's okay. I still had a good amount of fun with them. I got them up to 62, I
Yep.
think, 62nd level, something around there. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
The question has come up here. There's a discussion going on about. Well, there's several discussions going on. One of the questions was about playing an Argonian, and how do you kind of put yourself in that sort of alien
that's
mindset?
a really good question, and it
you know?
kind of ties into a little bit of what Matt and I had gone over as far as
Oops,
making those
excuse me.
transitions from,
Mhm.
one character to another. And this is actually a character right now that I'm still really just trying to get a feel for,
Mhm.
both the personality as well as that really different way of looking at the world.
Yeah.
Because the Argonians really, they're so different, and there's it's just really trying to find as much of the lore about them as I can, so I can try to understand kind of what they're all about. And I know I was kind of watching some discussion going through about why he would join the Stormcloaks, and
Mhm.
why go to Ulfric, where, like the Dunmer, the Nords are really
Yeah.
pretty nasty against any of the other races, really, which is all very valid points. I guess the way I'm kind of looking at this, or the initial concept, was that in searching for his history, he's trying to find this lost long grandfather, and find out what happened to him, and that during a battle in Gideon, trying to protect the borders from the Empire, his grandfather was captured and then somehow sold off to Dunmer slavers, which then in turn sold his grandfather to a Dunmer house that moved into Skyrim. So that's the starting point, why he left Blackmarsh, why he's in Skyrim to begin with, if he really wanted to be an Anzalil warrior, which is a whole nother really ambiguous area of the Argonian lore. So it's not as much, I think, siding with the Stormcloaks and taking up Ulfric's cause, as it is understanding or empathizing with the Stormcloaks' desire to regain what they believe is theirs, as the
Right.
Argonians have done in the border battles with the Empire and the Dunmer,
Yep.
trying to protect their lands. So that's kind of the lens he's looking through, is, I don't necessarily agree with you, and I'm not going to fight for you because I believe necessarily, but I agree with your basic desire to reclaim the land for yourself. Plus, it's also, I like I like you, or I like the Imperials less than I dislike you, if that
Yep.
makes sense. So
No, I totally agree with that.
So in
I can see how that would work.
in
yeah.
game, he's going to do very little to help any of the Dunmers that he comes across.
Right.
He'll be sympathetic to the Stormcloaks, and not as hateful towards the Imperials as he would be the Dunmer. I mean, after all, the Argonian-Dunmer relationship has not been a good one over the
Right.
several hundred years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I'm taking or thinking about this story from the beginning. So,
Right.
starting off in Riften, and that's kind of where he got to when he first entered Skyrim, and now he's just trying to find clues, and
Yeah.
it's really an impossible task.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. The character coming from a society that has been subjugated.
Yep.
It makes sense to me that he would look at the Stormcloak cause and immediately empathize with them or understand them on some visceral level.
Right.
He may not give a crap about their politics or anything like that. What he sees is a group
Right.
of people who are being, in his view, held down by another group of people,
Right.
which, people in his society are very familiar with.
Right.
And that's where that's where the reaction comes from. That's where the sympathy comes from.
Right.
And he's reacting to that. It's not a very it's a very emotional view,
Right. Yep.
which I think makes sense. I mean, the whole Civil War quest line is a completely emotionally charged quest line. It's all about that. There's
Right.
very little about it that has anything to do with, logic.
Right.
It's
So
about
it's an opportunity for the character to maybe try to continue his quest to find clues about his ancestry, as well as an opportunity to help weaken the empire.
right. Makes sense.
So, but
I love it.
I'm still trying to get into the character's, headspace, if you will, and yeah, it's a foreign way of looking thing, and I'm still working on it. I mean, just kind of plain and simple. It's especially coming after a year plus of playing a single character,
Yep.
so in depth. Right now, it's just kind of a feel, and maybe just kind of let loose some of the role play and just enjoy the game for a little bit, cleanse the palate.
Yeah, that's the other thing too is I don't think it's necessary to have a concept fleshed out before you start playing the game. My favorite thing to do is to have a rough idea in my head of what I want this character to be and play through the first 10 levels figuring that out.
Right.
And that's why Vander started at level 10 and why Fleet started at level 10. Their stories start at level 10 because I'm using levels 1 through 10 to play the character, get in the headspace, understand the motivations, figure out what I want to do. And then I start to sort of solidify that story in my mind around level 10 after I've had some experience playing in the character's shoes. But that's just kind of how I tend to do things. So David has a question about the meta narrative that Joe is writing. Any more details on that? Okay, there's a couple of different things here. We're definitely getting to this, David. I had mentioned in my channel update that you and I were kind of coordinating on some things related to 5 Fables and taking the larger sort of meta narrative that is 5 Fables and doing some writing about it and thinking about it as maybe something that we could document in a way that people could actually use it as their own meta narrative.
Build a kind of a world space of their own.
Right. It's kind of a tricky thing because 5 Fables is still a story that I'm planning on telling. So Joe and I are having to coordinate very closely and think about how we want to approach that narrative so that we're not piling any spoilers into the written pieces or the pieces that we're doing outside the story that are going to be spoilers inside the story, right?
Right.
So I think to say that this stuff is all going to come out, it's going to pop out and it's just going to be sitting there ready to use as if it were like a D&D module.
I wish it were that cut and dry.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But Joe has written a couple of really great pieces. Now he recently launched a short piece on the Character Crusade website. That was last week.
Yep.
And he's working on a related piece that's much more lengthy. And that one, I think the plan is to do that in both audio and written format, right?
Yeah, that's an excerpt that Matt was going to record for us, and I'm trying or hoping to kind of release those in tandem. I don't think, well, I know we're not going to get a full reading, especially not in one sitting, because it's like, 30 pages. But like all the other Fireside stories, we're going to try to put out a excerpt of it in an audio format, and then release the full length written piece at the same time or shortly thereafter. So it's already written, it's ready to go. Matt's got his thing. he's got all the recording pieces that he wants to do. I just think he's polishing it up, maybe doing a re-recording or just to get some of the kinks out. Of course, obviously he's not here, so just trying to find the time to put that all together.
Yep. And
But-
so Joe has taken the opportunity to focus on some areas inside what we would consider to be the sort of the 5 Fables mythology that we're creating. And he's writing about an aspect of that is focused around the House of Troubles and that area kind of in Falkreath near the border. And as he's working on that, I am working on a rough outline of the larger narrative so that we can start discussing particular areas where we feel like it's safe for us to do additional writing and additional work, and other areas we want to stay away from so that we don't essentially completely eviscerate the 5 Fables video series. So there's a lot of work that we got to do there. But as I had originally envisioned it, there's tons and tons of space within this concept to write around the characters that have already been created. So I would expect to see more content coming out. Joe, as we've said, Joe's got a whole bunch of stuff ready, kind of sitting there poised, right? It's just a matter of putting it all together, get everything produced and all that stuff polished
So
up.
that that longer short story that will be coming out. I'm not going to put a date on it, but it should be soon. I'd like to, and if I can't coordinate something with the audio piece, so be it. I've been sitting on it for quite a while now, so I'm kind of itching to get it out myself.
Do you feel like all the audio needs to be done in several parts, or do you want to release, say, part 1 of the audio and then the entire story, or what's the plan? What are you thinking for releasing it in pieces, or because it's like 16,000 words or something. Right?
Yeah,
it's pretty.
I'm really leaning towards just a small excerpt at this point of audio, an audio reading, and then release the full publication.
Okay.
I just realistically to release, record and release the whole story in small 10-minute excerpts. I just don't. I don't think that's just not something realistic. I think we can expect Matt to do so. Because there's a certain standard there, and he really likes to tweak and add a lot to his recordings. So asking him to do that would just be way too much, and I don't honestly think it's necessary. So we've got that will be hopefully hitting the site soon. And then we've got that short story that's related to it. And then that is actually out now, called A Rift into Oblivion. And then on top of that, I have been putting together all of my in-game writings for Inaros journaling. So far, I have several of them scheduled to kick off at 2-week intervals already. But just outside of that, I'm not even halfway through, and I think I've got like 10 volumes prepped.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of material there.
So
yeah.
It's a quicker read because it is a journal style, but it's still quite a bit in there.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, and with regard to 5 Fables itself, the 5 Fables roleplay, that obviously that story still has legs because we're talking about it here and we're looking at building something larger. I'm taking a break from 5 Fables because I'm doing Rune Runner, which is an exploration of my ability to role play 100% of the time. And the more I play Vander completely in character all the time, the more I realize that it would be a hell of a lot of fun, and I think natural for me to do that with Robard. I think it would be amazing to have a Robard adventure that was 100% roleplay. That changes my approach a little bit to how I was going to tell the story, and some things will have to be adjusted there. But whereas in the beginning, Five Fables was really about me writing scripts and producing, and it was going to be a heavily produced thing. I think as it becomes a less heavily produced thing and more focused on role play, I begin to see that more of the story will be told from Robard's perspective than I was originally planning, which forces me to go back and rethink some of the progression of the story arc a little bit, but I think in a good way. And I also believe that by doing this, by coordinating more closely with Joe, and I was super excited that Joe was interested in writing about stuff in the space. That was awesome, because now we can kind of work together, and he'll be able to tell the story from different perspectives than the perspectives that we're getting just through Robard's eyes and his companions or his enemies or whomever. So I'm excited. I think that we'll see that story start to advance in the not too distant future. I think it was just going to take me some time to kind of convince myself that I could actually play in character 100% of the time. And I think the reason for doing that is just because it's so much work. I mean, the writing required and all the video editing to create a highly produced episode of Five Fables just takes so long to produce that I can't advance the story at a pace that's acceptable to me, because the story is a rather large one. I mean, it's and it's complicated. And if I were to try to tell it in a produced way, we would never get to the end of the story. And I don't want to have another repeat of a Fleet situation where I get so far through and I just can't sustain it. So I'm looking for ways to create not only a good storytelling idea, but then also a way to present it so that I can sustain it, and it advances at a good pace and is exciting to watch. And it's frankly much easier to do that when you're in character 100% of the time and you're working from kind of a loose outline that tells you where the story's going, but doesn't require you to sit down and do 2 pages of writing before you can even produce a 30-minute episode. It just isn't practical. No. So I'm very excited. I think after getting through 6 episodes of Rune Runner, I've sufficiently proven to myself that if I take the time to develop a character, that I can play them comfortably and well and have a lot of fun doing that. So I think that's going to be the next step for me is kind of retooling Five Fables a little bit to just make sure to have it told a bit more from Robard's perspective and then move forward. And luckily, as the complexity of the story I'm telling decreases, I'll be able to increase the complexity and the nuance of the story by involving Joe, who's doing some writing inside the space as well. So I think it's a win-win, my opinion. So pretty excited about that. Yeah.
Sweet.
What else? Anything else? Okay.
Nothing real direct at us, at least.
Well, guys.
Good conversation going on about names.
Yeah. Thank you so much for attending. I know that we were kind of kicked off here in fits and starts. Really, that's what this episode was for, to be honest. We did not want to launch into our tour feeling like we were kind of behind the 8 ball on the technology side. And I will tell you that I have learned some things, some very important things tonight that should help us in the future, try to keep things sort of smooth and problem-free. So just to recap, starting in our next episode, which will be episode 35, we start the Virtually Immersive Provincial Skyrim Tour 2016, in which we will be broadcasting from a different location in Skyrim every episode. We're very excited about this. It's going to be a different experience than you had tonight in that We are going to be having video in the background with NPCs wandering around. And if you are a Patreon supporter, that could be one of your NPCs in the background. So for those who are supporting us on Patreon at the $15 level, or those who have been supporting us on Patreon for the last year, you'll be grandfathered in. We will be creating custom NPCs to your design specification. We have a form you can fill out with that information. And then we will be placing them inside the game in all the locations that we're recording from with complete AI packages so that those characters can do the things that you think that they would do, whether it's eating, sleeping, dancing, drinking, getting drunk, playing instruments, reading books, all that kind of stuff. So we're really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a ton of fun, and that's going to start in episode 35. So again, we thank you all so much for your patience in helping us out here. It is not easy to do what we're doing, streaming and the whole green screen thing. And it's pretty over the top, but I think it's totally worth it. So,
Oh, for sure. I'm just thrilled that the actual green screen piece is the least of our concerns.
I know, right? I mean, it. I gotta say,
There's
it
some
works.
tweaking to be done, but
It works remarkably well. I mean, look at that. Look at the beautiful mountains.
Oh, it's cold.
Look at the lake, Joe. It's beautiful.
Fantastic.
Oh, the lake. Oh, it's so beautiful
Go
this
up
time of year,
north
yeah.
to the lake.
Going to the lake, go fishing.
Go some fishing.
Fishing, yeah. All right, so we will see you guys again in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much for your attendance tonight and your patronage, if you are a patron. If you are not a patron and want to help us out, go out and buy a t-shirt from our shop or go to iTunes and give us a rating. We would love to get some more 5-star ratings.
Haven't had a rating for a while.
I know. We've got 33 out there, and we haven't had a rating in like 3 months. I don't know what's going on, but an iTunes rating is always nice. And then feel free, keep sending us your emails and so forth. If you're interested in getting a screenshot of yours into our setup here, we are going to be working on a way to allow people to submit those. We're getting serious about it now because we really could use the content. So be watching for that to come out, as well as a whole bunch of new content. And then probably a channel update coming up here in the next week or so, letting everybody know what's going on with the setup. So that is it. We are out. Thank you all very much, and good night.
See ya.
See ya.